Are you an investor looking for premium market opportunities? Presenting premium and exclusive service for investors by Kalkine.
The Global Registry is the first open source database that tracks global reserves and output of oil, gas and coal, expressed as CO2 equivalent. The registry intends to increase understanding of extraction consequences on the remaining carbon budget and ultimately to assist decision makers' management of it through enhancing openness and accountability surrounding fossil fuel output. Now, to coincide with the climate negotiations taking place at the United Nations General Assembly in New York, a first-of-its-kind database for tracking the global production, reserves and emissions of fossil fuel was launched on Monday, the 19th of September. According to recently released data, burning and producing the world's reserves would result in more than 3.5 trillion tons of greenhouse gas emissions, which is more than 7 times the carbon budget still available to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius, and more than all emissions generated since the Industrial Revolution. The Global Registry of Fossil Fuels made the discovery. Oil, gas and coal demand and consumption reduction have been the main goals of climate change policy initiatives to date, but the availability of these fuels has been neglected. For instance, the Paris Agreement makes no mention of the production of fossil fuels, despite the fact that they are responsible for more than 75% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions. The United Nations Environment Programme's production gap reports have established the fact that there is a significant fossil fuel overhang relative to the remaining carbon budget, and the International Energy Agency has demonstrated that no new fields can be developed and that some existing fields must be retired early if they are to keep global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Now, markets are unable to identify the assets that are most likely to become stranded, and policymakers and civil society do not have the asset-level data necessary to influence management decisions throughout this phase-out. The registry has data for more than 50,000 fields in 89 countries at the launch, accounting for 75% of global production. It demonstrates, among other things, that even if all other nations immediately stopped producing fossil fuels, the US and Russia each had enough fossil fuel reserves to exhaust the whole global carbon budget. The Ghawar oil field in Saudi Arabia, which generates over 525 million tons of carbon emissions annually, is the most significant source of emissions out of the 50,000 fields listed by the registry. Of course, information other than emission statistics will be required by governments to address the issue of how to reduce the oversupply of fossil fuels. The registry will gradually expand to include economic characteristics such as taxes and royalties related to certain assets that might be considered when deciding how to manage a phase-out of supply. With that, we come to the end of this video. Don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button, and you can press the bell icon to get notifications for our other videos. I'm Rachel for Kalkine Media.